So as it turns out, EA does not want you to buy Battlefield 5. At least by all appearances, that is what it looks like. And no, I'm not talking about rehashing up of old news that you've probably already heard where EA was telling people, look, if you don't like us rewriting history, don't buy the game. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about their move to games as a service. So if you want to play Battlefield 5 right now, the last thing you want to do is actually buy the game. As you see from this chart, if you subscribe to EA's Premier service, which is EA's premium version of EA Access that's currently on PC only, you get to play the full game, no boundaries. And if you subscribe to Origin Access and EA Access, you get a 10-hour trial, which started on November the 9th. But if you decided that you really want to just buy the game because you want to own that game, you don't want to have to rent it long term, if you get the deluxe version, you'll be able to play on the 15th. And if you're one of those peasants who are only going to give EA their $60 for the game for the standard edition, you're going to have to wait till November the 20th to play. So the people who buy the game end up having to wait the longest to actually play. And it's just like I talked about in my video yesterday with Microsoft. If you missed that, go check it out because this is all very much related. Microsoft is pushing their subscription service hard. They're buying up all these companies as, in their words, not to pump out AAA games. They want to pump out AA games on a regular basis for their Game Pass subscribers to keep people enticed to keep on paying the service. EA also wants you to subscribe, and by all appearances, they would rather you subscribe than buy, just looking at these incentives. So why the push for a subscription? Because, it is cheaper to subscribe than it is to buy. If you were going to play Battlefield and Anthem, you would be better off subscribing at least for the year, and it would be cheaper to subscribe than it would be to buy the two outright. So why are they doing this? So one thing that comes to mind, of course, is it eventually, if this takes hold, which I think it will, it'll eventually push out the used game business, which publishers hate. Just go back and look at the Microsoft Xbox reveal if you need a refresher on that course. They don't make money on secondhand sales. So that's why at the beginning of the generation, there was so much of this talk of everybody trying to go digital and trying to kind of cut out the middlemen who can sell these third parties, but that totally backfired. So this is a way for them to still achieve their ultimate goal. They're just taking a different route to get there. And what these companies are learning is that gamers who subscribe end up playing more, and they end up spending more money as well over time. So sure, a game may cost $60. But what if you decided that this year, Microsoft or EA didn't have a game that you really felt like offering $60 for? Then that would mean that they wouldn't get any money from you for this year. But if they can entice you and offer up a big selection of games that you would pay a lot less for, then they're going to get something out of you. And so they want to give you enough to keep you subscribed. And not only can they get you to spend more than the cost of a game, they can also get you to spend some of that money that you feel you may be saving and then dump it into microtransactions and DLC. And again, they're betting that they're going to make more money long-term on subscribers than they would on buyers. And if you think about it, they're marketing to a much larger base than just a group of people who are willing to buy one game for $60. There's a lot of people who may be on the fence about spending $60 towards a game that they may not end up loving. But there's a lot of those people who would say, you know what, I would be willing to throw down $5 or $15 towards a game to test it out because there's a lot less risk involved. And so you're going to get a lot more people in the pool. So you may be selling less copies, but you're expanding the pool of money coming in. So overall, it works out in the positive. And to be completely transparent with you, that's sort of the spot that I find myself in. So I'll tell you my story. I played the Battlefield beta I was not impressed with it. I didn't like it. There was a lot of things that I didn't like. But over the weekend, I was bored, and me and a friend of mine decided that we were going to try out the 10-hour trial. And we ended up actually liking it a lot more than the beta. And so now I'm sitting here thinking about Premiere. I still don't want to buy Battlefield. I don't want to give them $60 for it because I really don't know how much more time I'm going to invest in it. But I've already used up pretty much all my 10 hours, and I still, have a little tick to end up playing. And then I've got Anthem that's going to be coming that I want to try as well. So if I did end up buying 2 of those, again, it would be much cheaper just to go the subscription route. And the subscription route would be cheaper, and then I would still have access to both of those big games that I want, plus all these other games that I may not have ever thought about buying, but since they're there and I've already paid for the service and they're available to me, then I may try out and I may end up liking some of those as well. The downside of that, of course, is I don't own it, and I'm going to be paying to keep playing possibly years down the road unless I decided to opt out and just go ahead and buy the game. So there's pros and cons to both sides. And I still think what both Microsoft and EA are offering right now is a good deal. But as I mentioned in yesterday's video, the thought process that concerns me is what happens in the future. What happens when we look 10 years down the road from now if they were able to squeeze out the majority of the market from owning most content, and we all turn into basic renters, where we're renting games instead of ever owning them. And that's a very worrying thought. So it's sort of like being tempted with a very good deal right now from the devil, but it may help you short term, but it could turn into a bad deal long term. Or, maybe I'm just being paranoid and Microsoft and EA really just love us and they only want the best for us. And they're only trying to make just enough money to put food on the table for the kids. Yeah, I'm just kidding. I don't believe that at all. But post your thoughts down below about what you think about this. And what do you think about the future of games as a service and how EA is giving more benefits to people who subscribe than who buy? In the end, this trend is going to keep on growing, and I expect more games are going to come out and start doing this. And are you worried about the future of gaming with this sort of setup? That does it for me, The Red Dragon. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.